Mrs. Gandhi may have returned from the political wilderness in her own country, but it seems in Britain the Indian population is less ready to accept her back. She obviously hoped that her visit to Southall would give her, if not a triumph, at least some measure of acceptance among the Indians in this country, and therefore increase her acceptance by British politicians. Those hopes were dashed in Middlesex last night. 300 uniformed police held back 4,000 Indians as the former Prime Minister entered the Dominion Cinema, a theatre that specialises in showing films made in the subcontinent. As she entered the foyer, a well-aimed egg, thrown from the body of the crowd, smashed against the wall above her and spattered the Indian politician. Inside, things weren't much better. Anti-Gandhi demonstrators, many of them waving black scarves, an Indian sign of disapproval, chanted Nazi as she made her way to the stage. The pro-Gandhi members of the audience, by far the majority, sat quietly in their seats waiting for the hubbub to die down, but it didn't. Policemen in plain clothes, who flanked each side of the stage, looked uneasy, and their uniformed counterparts, barely hidden behind the cinema curtain, were poised to emerge if the criticism took a more active form. Mrs. Gandhi began speaking immediately. Addressing her countrymen in Hindi, she pointed out that yesterday was her father's birthday, and how pleased the late Mr. Nehru would have been to see her speaking in Southall. It gained her no sympathy from the demonstrators. She tried to answer the hecklers by saying that the very fact that they knew what had gone on in India during the emergency showed that she had operated a democracy with freedom of the press. If they heard her, and it's doubtful, they paid no attention. After 15 minutes there was the hurried presentation of a bouquet, and then Mrs. Gandhi left the stage. She cancelled another speech she'd planned to deliver nearby and left Southall and Britain's largest Indian community. For a politician who, in her heyday, frequently addressed rallies of more than 1 million people, being shouted down by 200 or so demonstrators must have been a depressing experience indeed.